All right, let's just dive right into this explainer because today we are tackling one of the absolute biggest infrastructure decisions hanging over enterprise IT leaders right now. We're talking about the showdown between Zscaler and Microsoft Entra SSE. Look, if you're a CIO, a CISO, a security architect, or really anyone making IT decisions, you already know that your secure service edge, your SSE, is basically the foundation of your organization's future. But picking the right path, it's incredibly complex, and the stakes are high. I mean, literally, making the wrong call here doesn't just give you a temporary IT headache. You could be locking yourself into years of technical debt, massive operational friction, and worse, some really scary security gaps. So today we're going to strip away all the marketing jargon and break down these two heavyweights side by side using the actual data so you can see exactly which platform fits your specific enterprise goals.
So, right off the bat, you have to understand this core philosophical difference. This isn't just a catchy quote. It is the exact lens you need to look through for this entire decision. You see, these differing DNA origins ripple through literally every single feature, every cost, and every deployment reality we're going to talk about today. Zscaler built a massive network strictly around isolating threats, and then later on, they integrated with identity providers to figure out who was actually using it. Microsoft, on the other hand, well, they own the world's largest enterprise identity platform, Entra ID, and they are now stretching that identity shield outward to wrap around your network traffic. Keep this fundamental DNA in the back of your mind because it perfectly explains why each of these platforms behaves the way it does.
Okay, here's our roadmap for the breakdown today. We'll hit origins and architecture, then web security and private access, followed by deployment and operations, cost, automation and AI, and we'll wrap it all up with industry fit and our final verdict.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Origins and Architecture.
Now, what is really fascinating here is seeing how these two vendors handle the actual physical flow of your data. Think of Zscaler's architecture like a super secure international airport checkpoint. They operate one of the largest security clouds in the world as a full proxy architecture. That means every single user session, every piece of data, every piece of luggage, so to speak, is stopped, deeply inspected in real time, and scrutinized. It's a very strict, never trust, always verify setup. Microsoft Entra SSE, though, it functions much more like an elite VIP bouncer. It relies heavily on identity signals and device trust. It checks your ID, looks at your device health, gauges the context of your request, and then lets you in. It works beautifully and seamlessly if you're already inside a Microsoft ecosystem, but fundamentally, it's identity-centric, not inline inspection-centric like Zscaler.
Moving right along to Section 2, Web Security and Private Access. If your organization needs serious, advanced internet threat prevention, Zscaler is overwhelmingly the more mature choice here. They bring this massive, battle-tested toolkit to the table: secure web gateway, cloud firewall, browser isolation, data loss prevention, and crucially, this is a big one, inline SSL inspection. Why does that deep inspection matter so much? Because modern malware loves to hide inside encrypted SSL traffic. Zscaler basically cracks open that traffic to find hidden payloads, which is something a pure identity-based approach might just gloss right over. Meanwhile, Microsoft's Entra Internet Access is fantastic at securing access specifically to Microsoft applications. It leans on identity-aware internet access and conditional access enforcement, so it's incredibly effective for SaaS traffic control, making sure the right person is accessing the right app. But it definitely takes a lighter touch approach to traffic inspection compared to Zscaler's deep dive.
You know, a huge driver for getting an SSE in the first place is finally putting a stake in the heart of that clunky, vulnerable legacy VPN. And the good news is, both vendors use Zero Trust Network Access, or a ZTNA, to do exactly that. But their maturity levels are pretty different. Zscaler's Private Access, ZPA, is the undisputed market leader here. It's got extensive real-world deployments in massive enterprises, and most importantly, it has phenomenal multi-cloud support. If you have apps sitting in AWS, Google Cloud, and an on-prem data center, Zscaler just seamlessly bridges all of that. Microsoft's Entra Private Access is definitely the newer kid on the block. It is evolving really fast, and it works exceptionally well if your entire life is inside Azure. But ZPA just has that longer, proven track record with complex mixed cloud environments.
All right, Section 3, Deployment and Operations. This is where the script totally flips, depending on what you already own. If your organization is heavily invested in the Microsoft ecosystem, deploying Entra SSE is almost unbelievably fast. For your IT admins, you're literally just flipping on a switch for new features inside an environment they already live in every day. But the real hidden gem here? The massive drop in alert fatigue. When your identity, your endpoints, your collaboration tools, and your security are all natively talking to each other from one unified Microsoft portal, your analysts aren't constantly jumping between 5 different vendor dashboards to track down an incident. If you're an IT leader trying to do more with less, that kind of operational simplicity is a total game changer. On the flip side, Zscaler is a dedicated, completely separate platform. Rolling it out means you need a dedicated project team and some very deliberate planning. You've got to map out complex traffic steering, handle extensive planning for that SSL inspection we talked about, and carefully migrate your legacy policies over. It is without a doubt more friction and more effort up front, but, and this is a big but, it rewards your security team with a bespoke, practically airtight security posture. Because Zscaler's policies are built purely around security rather than just identity, your Security Operations Center gets those deep, granular controls they really need to fundamentally transform your enterprise's defenses.
Let's talk budget and future-proofing in Section 4, Cost, Automation, and AI.
You have to look closely at hidden costs here to find the true value. Generally speaking, Microsoft offers a much lower initial price tag if you're a Microsoft-centric shop. I mean, if you're already paying for E5 licensing, Entra ID Premium, and Defender, bolting on Entra SSE just feels like a logical, budget-friendly next step. Zscaler, however, usually requires its own dedicated budget line item. But here's the catch. Zscaler offers incredible long-term value by killing off multi-vendor sprawl. Their modular licensing is crystal clear, and you get this great aha moment when you realize you can actually lower your total cost of ownership by finally ripping out your old legacy VPN, your outdated web proxy, and all those standalone data loss prevention tools.
And we can't ignore AI, right? It's absolutely critical for keeping up with modern threats. Currently, Microsoft has a pretty distinct advantage with their overarching AI ecosystem. Features like Security Copilot integrate seamlessly across their entire stack, acting almost like a holistic AI assistant built right into your daily workflow. Now, Zscaler is no slouch here, but their focus is just different. They are exceptional at AI-powered threat detection, user behavior analytics, and this is huge, shadow AI discovery. Visibility into shadow AI is massive right now. It lets you actually see if your employees are, say, recklessly pasting sensitive company code or financial data into some unsecured public AI chatbot.
Finally, Section 5, Industry Fit and our final verdict.
Let's make this practical and use this as a diagnostic for your own enterprise. If you operate in an industry where a failed compliance audit literally puts you on the evening news, think banking, finance, or healthcare, you absolutely need Zscaler's strict, uncompromising inline inspection to protect your sensitive apps. On the other hand, if you're a university dealing with shrinking budgets and already relying on Microsoft campus agreements, or maybe a manufacturing firm where speed and lower immediate costs are everything, Microsoft is your lifeline. It is honestly fascinating how perfectly that core technical DNA we talked about at the very beginning dictates exactly where these platforms thrive.
This comparison matrix really spells out the ultimate trade-offs. You can clearly see Zscaler winning big on sheer maturity. They are the market leader, with unparalleled multi-cloud support. But Microsoft, even though they're categorized as emerging in the broader SSE space here, completely dominates when it comes to operational simplicity and integration. Both platforms give you excellent resilience and automation, but they're built to serve entirely different operational philosophies. So, to summarize this impartially, when should you confidently pull the trigger on Microsoft? Well, if your organization runs heavily on Microsoft E5 and Azure, Entra SSE delivers immediate, excellent value. It's the smart, efficient choice if your main goals are keeping that initial security spend down, uniting your IT and security teams under one single pane of glass to fight tool fatigue, and getting this deployed with the lowest possible effort. It is an identity powerhouse, brilliantly extending its shield outward.
But for the majority of Fortune 1000 organizations out there, the ones requiring a mature, dedicated security architecture that has to work seamlessly across any cloud environment, Zscaler remains the heavy-duty choice. You go with Zscaler when your priority is absolute, best-in-class web security, when you need deep, uncompromising traffic inspection that misses absolutely nothing, and you require strict zero-trust network access across a sprawling, complex enterprise. It's a purpose-built security fortress, right from the ground up.
At the end of the day, making the right choice here isn't about just checking off features on some spreadsheet. It's about looking inward at your own starting line. Take a hard, honest look at your internal maturity. Are you trying to lock down a sprawling multi-cloud future? Or are you trying to effectively secure a house that's already built on Microsoft? The tool you choose today is going to dictate your operational overhead and your security ceiling for the next decade. So the real question is, which DNA are you going to build your future on?